Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my podcast, Conversations with Zelia. My name is Zelia, and today is Friday, April 19th, 2021. Now, today, we're going to discuss the Food Network feverdream reality show known as Mystery Diners. Now, for those who wasn't watching Food Network back in the 2010s, Mystery Diners was a reality show starring Charles Styles, and who pretty much gets consulted by restaurant owners in regards to problems and issues going on in the restaurant. And Charles and his team of mystery diners, namely people, they pretty much go and snuff out the problems via stakeout, with the mystery diners dressing up as employees just to snuff out the problematic target. And there's always a twist with some of these episodes, with the most common twist being the problematic employee not being a bigger issue, or not causing problems, and the employee that we thought was good not actually causing problems. In Mystery Diners, it lasted from 2013 to 2016, and for years, there's been some questions whether or not it was authentic or not, which it becomes a lot more believable with the later seasons. Now, with the later seasons, thanks to the problematic employees becoming a lot more savvy with their scams, they decided to be a lot more extra, and not only have advanced technology, but also have private investigators and all that. And today I'm going to discuss the top 5 episodes of Mystery Diners that pretty much causes the show to come across as phony. And the first episode I'm going to discuss is the extracurricular activities episode, where the husband and wife owners of a cooking school in Miami, they contact Charles because they've been finding non-organic food in their trash, and they pride themselves on using organic ingredients. And come to find out, the major problematic employee was a cooking instructor they hired from Australia. I forgot his name. But he and his assistant, they purchased non-organic ingredients, but they've been using those non-organic ingredients just so they can host their own cooking show called The Cooking Kiwi. And during the confrontation, and I would keep forgetting to mention this, but this would be a common occurrence about podcasts, I would keep forgetting to mention stuff or don't mention it until it pops in my head. When they gain enough evidence, the employees, they would pick up the problem employees, the owners, they would pick up the problem employees, pretty much taking them back to the spy room for them to be confronted. And a lot of these confrontations, they would end with the problematic employee being fired, and or most rare cases, pretty much getting spared. But when they confront the Australian cook instructor and the assistant, they pretty much fired him, and with the assistant, they told her they were going to have a discussion with her, and it's revealed in the epilogue that they fired the assistant as well. And you thought that this was more. And not to mention, the fired cooking instructor couldn't find a venue for his cook show, The Cooking Kiwi. And then another unhinged, crazy Mystery Diners episode was History Mystery, which it was either in Georgia or South Carolina, but it took place at this restaurant that had some history during the antebellum/Civil War era. And the owner contacted Charles because he knows that he knows that some employees, they were taking advantage of the restaurant's history to have these Civil War reenactments and stuff, and kind of find out a waiter that he just hired. It was a waiter he just hired that was pretty much doing these reenactments, but not only that, having one of those events where they would take where the restaurant patrons, they would taste, posted by a friend of his, where they would taste things that would the foods that were around during the Civil War era, while the friend would tell these crazy, stupid lies about these stupid lies or alternative facts about the Civil War, with the waiter even shown pouring vinegar in a bottle of wine to make it seem as though the wine was 150 years old. That's how bold they was in the scheme, to the point they would bring it up, not only bring it in packages of food, but pouring vinegar in a bottle of wine just to make it 150 years old. And then when the mystery diner, he also doubles as a private investigator, asks a question. I forgot which question. It's been a while since I watched this episode. And how questioned whether or not the food they were serving was authentic. The fake historian dude had the nerve to say how 20% of the Confederate Army was Italian, which I'm not sure if it's true or not, but he's really capping just to justify pepperoni. And then there's the big Civil War reenactment, which is shown via a secret spy camera. And the waiter, he gets fired as well, and they never mentioned what happened to him. And then the third episode I want to talk about is Venue Vendors, where the owner of the Spanish Potato Grill, he contacts Charles because he felt that the head chef of his restaurant was trying to sabotage him, because the owner, he was relocating his restaurant, and he felt that the head chef was sabotaging him because he didn't promote him, or the head or sous chef, I forgot exactly his job title. But I gotta find out. The head chef was, according to the private investigator, the head or sous chef was shown trying to talk with a relative about getting a venue for his restaurant, not to mention it gets all worse during the confrontation, but during the experiment or spot, I forgot the stakeout. Let's just call it a stakeout. First, the waitress or hostess, she tells the customers that there weren't any reservations at the restaurant, and tried to give them the reservations to the chef's restaurant. Then one of the employees was caught vandalizing the new location and gets arrested by the private investigator. And you thought things can't get any worse, eh? But wait, there's more. The hostess from earlier pulled the fire alarm, scaring everyone in the restaurant. And during the confrontation where they got the dude that was caught vandalizing, when Charles called out the hostess for pulling the fire alarm, the hostess had the nerve to say, "I smell smoke. That's what the fire alarm is for. When you smell smoke, you pull it." In which the owner chastised her for lying, because nowhere did we see smoke. And I think she just pulled that fire alarm just sabotaged Manny. And then when the head or sous chef gets confronted, he makes a dig at the owner, which caused them to fight, and pretty much he fires all of them. Like I said, Mystery Diners is a super unhinged fever dream. Then the fourth episode I want to talk about is the cricket contest episode, which was the very last Mystery Diners episode, where the two owners, these two best friends, they own this restaurant in Nashville. They contacted Charles because there was a problem with their singing contest. They felt that they were being rigged. And during the pre-state investigation, they found out that their bartender was in cahoots with their engineer, who has a record recording studio. And then during the sting, it was revealed that both the bartender and the engineer, they would sabotage the other contestants either by giving them too much to drink or sabotaging the performance just so the person they wrote a song for could win, with the person in question being Paige. Paige winning the competition. And then during the competition, when they were confronting Paige, or Charles asked Paige whether or not she wrote the song, she just sat there and cried, which Charles took as a no. And then when confronting the engineer and bartender, the bartender tried to say that there was problems with the performers or the performances, which the female owner calls BS, which during the firing part of the confrontation, she tells off Paige saying that she's disqualified and that she'll never have a career in Nashville. And never have a music career again. And I'm just paraphrasing, and fires the bartender and the engineer. And then with the update, they stated that they disqualified all the rest of the competition and business is doing well at the restaurant. And there are some people online that felt that they were too harsh on Paige, which, in my opinion, she was in a way complicit, considering that she had subbed a song from the bartender and the engineer. And not to mention, unlike the other contestants, including the mystery diner, her performance wasn't sabotaged, nor there was any issues with her performance. Then there's lobster looting, which was the episode where this brother and sister couple, they owned a seafood restaurant, and they contacted Charles because there was a discrepancy in their lobsters. And during the sting, they found out where the discrepancy of lobsters come from. Their manager was buying a supply of lobsters for herself. And not only that, but there was a waiter who's a lobsters rights activist, and I'm like, what the heck is a lobsters rights activist doing working at a seafood restaurant? Because all he talks about is that how we need to save the lobsters and all that, discouraging people from ordering lobsters. Like, what, if you care about lobster much, then what are you doing working at a seafood restaurant? That's like a vegan working at a steakhouse. But wait, there's more. One of the waitresses is selling bathing suits or swimwear to the customers, which gets Charles and the owner's attention. They had one of the mystery diners who's posing as a customer to pretty much investigate it, and it's found out that the waitress is partners with the waitress partnered up with a friend of the couple who runs some clothing store to pretty much sell bathing suits for that's cash only purpose, which they see as a sign of a scam. Which makes sense, but then again, half of the things this show barely makes any sense, and it's far-fetched, and half of the scams are far-fetched. And when they confront the manager, the waitress, the store owner, and the waiter, who was caught pretty much still taking the lobster from the tank right before they were going to confront him, the lobster activist waiter defends his action, saying, I forgot exactly what he said, but I'm paraphrasing. I forgot what exactly he said, but the brother owner dismissed it as crazy talk. This is crazy talk to me, and I don't like crazy talk. I fired him. Then next to confront was the waitress and the owner, the store owner who they're close friends with, and they wound up firing her. Then just before they would confront the manager, who had receipts as proof of her purchase, the waiter that they just fired was caught trying to take a lobster back to the sea, which they wound up catching and arresting him, and the brothers and sisters, they wound up chastising him and pretty much allows him to get arrested. But the manager, she doesn't lose her job. Now, last and not least, in the most stage of the Mystery Diners episode was from Restaurant of Love, where a restaurant investor named Joey wanted to invest in this Russian Mexican fusion restaurant called the Russian. Cue the drum room. Get it? Because they serve Russian and Mexican fusion. But Joey, he wants Charles to investigate the owners because the owners, they've been acting pretty off and shady to the point that they won't allow him inside the restaurant. Then inside the restaurant, and before the sting, they do some digging on the owners who claim to be from Russia and could find out there's no records of them in Russia. And they try to use a mystery diner to pose as a chef to pretty much enter the kitchen, but he gets kicked out. And then during the sting, it's revealed why they're not allowed in the kitchen. Kind of find out. They would have Olga, the chef, who claims to be Bella's cousin, go to Mexican and Russian Mexican restaurants and order Russian and Mexican takeout, and then take them to the restaurant where they would deconstruct it and turn it into deconstruct the takeout, pretty much smash them together to make Russian Mexican fusion. I know it's crazy. But it gets worse. To confirm that Bella isn't from Russia or isn't Russian, Charles has a mystery diner posed as a customer to ask Bella questions in Russia to see whether or not she's Russian. She can barely answer those questions. And then there's another big reveal. Travis, who was one of the investors, was pretty much in on the whole scam the entire time. And when Joey grabs Yanni, Bella, and Travis so they could be to be confronted, Bella states, "Who are you, KGB?" Which further shows her that she's fake, that she's not really Russian, because the KGB ceased to exist in the 90s. But during the confrontation, Bella says that she's Russian, which Joey replies, "You can't even speak Russian." With Yanni admitting that he and Bella, they're not really Russian, but they're just pretending to be Russian for the sake of making the food enjoyable, making their cuisine enjoyable. And the whole confrontation ends with Joey saying that he's going to call the police, and Charles stated that they're already out there. And the footage shows Olga and the bartender being arrested, and Joey and Travis, Yanni, and Bella about to be arrested. And for those that see that vlog, Olga and the bartender, they got reduced charges, while Bella and I forgot whether or not Bella and Yanni went to court or not. But I do know that Travis, he's still hoping to set up his own restaurant. And that's it. And that's all I'm going to discuss. But I will end with this. Mystery Diners has to be one of the most staged feverdream shows ever. Concerning the fact that a lot of these scams, they could have been are far-fetched or ridiculous, like the From Russia with Love scam. And I'm surprised that they have been documented of the news. Not to mention, probably a good chunk of the restaurants featured on Mystery Diners. I don't know why I keep getting them confused with Hell's Kitchen. They're probably closed down. Like Taverna Mazzi, the haunted restaurant that was profiled in one of the seasons, which got closed down because it was getting haunted. No, it was getting haunted because of the complaints of the restaurant being too haunted. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I would like to ask, have you ever watched Mystery Diners? And if so, list it in the comment section. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you guys later. And I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!